Hello, everybody. This is Ryan over at Bearded Tree Hugger. I may change the name. I don't know. I wanted to sound a little more. All right, I shaved and I think I forgot a little. I wanted to sound a little more, plant-based type name. Tree Hugger sounds like I'm out there rescuing plastic from the lake and stuff like that, which I have done, but not the point of the channel. I wanted to touch on. I like watching Durianrider. He's the most real of the people that I've seen over I don't know, almost like 12 years, I guess, that I've been watching vegan type. I started watching vegan type channels probably a year and a half before I even switched over, because I was having so many issues with sweating out vinegar and throwing up stomach acid and stuff like that. So anyway, Durianrider, I think he's one of the ones. I know Life Regenerator was the first one that I had seen. I had seen that David Wolf for like 3 seconds, and I knew that guy was bad news bears. I've been in the sales world long enough to know that I wouldn't trust that guy for anything. He's a smooth talker, snake oil salesman. Wouldn't trust him. So Life Regenerator is the first one I had found, and I believe that he was having some kind of issue with Durianrider hating on him, because Life Regenerator gets his feelings hurt for everything. And so I started watching Durianrider, and I've kind of been watching him ever since. I don't even know if I'm a subscriber, but I get the notifications and I watch his videos. I know views are more important than subscriber base at the point that he's at. And I watched a video of his yesterday that I think he posted a few days ago. I'm going to try to take a screenshot of that and then put my screen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm really good at editing on Photoshop, but as far as the Premiere Pro or After Effects goes, I learned how to do all that stuff in school, but it is just flown the coop. So I really don't even remember how to do half this stuff. I really got to teach myself, because I wanted to do a slideshow showing the roller coaster that I've been on over the last, I don't know, 15 years. Somebody asked me to find photographs of myself, what I've looked like over the years. I did compile a good amount. There's a couple that I'm still looking for that I hope I can find, that really kind of show where I started. So he looks, to me, in my eyes, terrible. Now I know he blows me out of the water when it comes to talking about weight loss, getting results, keeping results, and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the world of testosterone supplementation, or not supplement, therapy, hormone therapy, let's call it that. That is a world that I have lived in, not as much this past 3 or 4 years, because my foot was going downhill and I just couldn't squat or deadlift anymore. But since 92 to 2010, I didn't take a vacation from it at all, other than a few times during the crazy periods of time at the food distribution plant that I worked at. During the holidays, I worked a ton of hours. I think I made a video about that. Other than that, I have been in the gym from 92, and I took time off in 99 because I wanted to get the weight off, and I just did walking. Did an hour of walking, and actually I've never felt better than I did from 99 into 2000. And then I got back into weightlifting, and of course the weight started. Anytime I guess I have an insulin like growth hormone or something like that, I can put muscle on so fast, but it comes with fat, and it drives me nuts. So then in 2010, I called my buddy. There was this supplement guy that I was living in Philly, but there was this really good supplement guy all the way out in Reading. Well, Wyatt Missing, if you know what that is. And I was going there, and he would find stuff that you can find anywhere else. And one time I went there, and he had these little, it looked like Halloween pills. It was little black and orange pills that were pro hormones. And I know this probably also affected some of I know there's going to be some haters, the keto haters, that watch this video at some point and say, well, this is probably what did your liver and kidneys in. I know it didn't help. I'm going to admit that. These things were not pro hormones. I don't know what was in these things, but my starting weight was usually around where most people's max weights were at. I mean, that's just how I'm built. It's just, I can't, I'm never going to outrun somebody. I'm never going to do that. I can outbike people. My bike speed is absurd. Even for my weight, I still can average like 19 to 20 miles an hour over a like 3 or 4 hour ride. It's insane. So I think it's just because my legs are strong from back in the day. So anyway, I've been around, and then back from 2010, I called my buddy. I'm like, dude, my kidneys are killing me. My back is killing me. I don't even know why I keep going to this gym, and I quit. Walked away from it for a while. And then I missed it, but I was doing the drinking the beer and eating the cookies and stuff like that and blowing up. And it's a comical diet. It's a comical way of living. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. And I got to a point, it was shortly after, I'm going to say New Year's Eve 2011, because it was shortly after that I switched over to a vegan diet. And I was doing the starvation vegan diet at first, and I lost a ton of weight, and I realized that I just couldn't maintain it. I was just making green juices, and I didn't even have a juicer. I was using a nut milk bag and a cheap blender, and I was wasting all this great produce, and I was putting it in the blender, blending it up, putting it in a nut milk bag, squeezing everything out, and drinking that. And then I would allow myself like one real meal a day, and I was losing a ton of weight. So I'm sure I just destroyed my metabolism at that point. And then shortly after that, I'm like, I cannot maintain this. So I started, I think, doing the banana thing, and then I bought a juicer. I bought a Breville. I hated that thing. That thing was so loud, and it just destroyed the produce. I know some juicers say the best juicer you can afford is the best juicer for you. Maybe that's the case. If you're just juicing carrots and maybe cucumbers and stuff like that, or apples, it's fine. But if you're leafy greens and all that kind of stuff, do not bother. Do not bother. It is such a waste. Anyway, I'm way off topic. So then I started working out again, probably for another 5 years straight. And I think that kind of takes us up to where we're at now, where I had to stop. I think 2018, I think, is when I stopped. I think I did do some working out in 2019, but not a ton. I was really into biking at that time, and like biking had taken over. 2016, I lifting up until April, and my chiropractor at the time said, dude, you're really overweight. And because I had lost the weight, gained it back, lost the weight, gained it back. And I'm going to explain that in the next video, so I don't waste this video with that. He's like, you got to stop lifting. He's like, you got to get on a bike. And I actually had sold my bikes at that point, a lot of my bikes at that point. And then the other bikes that I had owned were still back in Cleveland, and I wasn't going to drive all the way out to Cleveland just to get a couple bikes. And actually, this is a biking shirt now. So I went, and I'm not a huge fan of buying the most expensive, greatest, and all that kind of stuff bike. I like buying name brand bikes. So what I did was, I knew there was a velodrome, and it was right by my chiropractor's office, and he was a huge bike person. He kept claiming he was going to, the chiropractor was going to give me a bike because he had got like 35 bikes or something like that. I mean, there's no way you can ride this. And he was my same height, so there would have been he kept saying he was going to do it, and he just never did. So I went to the bike shop that was by the velodrome, and I'm like, I want a bike. I want a good bike. I want a brand new bike. But it could be like a 2012. It could be like a 2000. I don't care. Like, it could be 5 years old. It could be their old inventory upstairs, half off, blah, blah, blah. So he did have one. He had a Specialized Tri-Cross, which is I still own that. I put much bigger. I put 38 mil tires on that thing. That thing rides like a dream. So he had a Specialized Tri-Cross, 2012. I took all the hardware off of it, and I put new hardware on it. It was originally, I think, a $1,200 or $1,500 bike. He sold it to me for just under $600. So that's another tip if you're a cyclist, and you don't care about the latest and greatest. And I do not care about carbon fiber. I had a Madone back in the day. That was a nightmare. That thing cracked on me. I'm never buying it again. I don't care what. I don't care if I get down to 175 pounds. I am not doing that again. I have no use for it. I can blow past people on carbon fiber bikes. My weight as it is now, on a mostly ride steel now. Actually, I went to, there's a bunch of bike co-ops here that you can get used bikes, because I started buying used bikes again. You can get steel's real, ride steel. So anyway, back to the point of this video. I keep off in tangents. I have been around steroid users or hormone users or whatever you want to call it, performance enhancing, whatever you need to call it to make it righteous for you. And it has gone poorly for almost every single person. And when I saw Durianrider's video, and I think it was last night, I'm like, dude, seeing the same thing. The weird forehead with the veins coming down, the chubby cheeks, the like rock hard cheeks. He's got this weird deltoid thing going on. He looks, in my eyes, terrible. Dude, you look terrible. I really like you. You're like at least you're honest about this kind of stuff. I have seen so many people go down this path, and it's never good. Never good. Now, I don't even think he's weightlifting, so I don't know what the point of him even doing this is. But, oh man, I have flashbacks of all the crazy shit that I've seen these people who are on steroids do. Flipping out, having roid rage. I mean, there was I worked out at a very hardcore gym, and when a lot of the players would come in to visit to play the Browns, they would go to this gym, and one troublemaker came in. First name began with a T, last name begins with an O. If you know anything about football, you'll know who that is. Came in. There was a competition set of racks and stuff like that was chained up with this huge chain. And the only time anybody could use it was when, I'm not even going to say his name, when the guy was there who used it, who owned this stuff, because he knew the gym owner. They were competitive lifters. They only used it so that when they were there for a lot. I mean, they lived there. This is how they made their money, is off the gyms and competition lifting and all that kind of stuff. So they didn't have the 9 to 5. This is what they did. And I think they trained people, but you had to be on the juice for them to train you, so they wouldn't even touch you. And so one day this guy comes in, and it says clearly, big sign, big wooden sign, do not touch my shit. And this football player went and got chain cutters, came back, cut the chain, and in that time, the guy who owned this stuff had come back, and he just destroyed this football player. I mean, destroyed him. To the point where he didn't even actually play the game. He had to go back home and get treatment. It's just not a world that you want to be in. So my point of this video is all over the place. And back to, actually, I've interrupted my own self. Back to those pills that I had taken. There was something off with those pills, man. My typical rep work, just lightweight to me, deadlifts. I remember this one time, like about 3 or 4 days after I had started taking this stuff, and I was starting to have back problems because my kidneys couldn't cycle this stuff out. And I was sitting up like this at the bank I was working at the time, and they're like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I just stretched my back out or something like that," And I knew what was going on, but I loved the effect of this stuff. And I know injection stuff is much better than oral, but it still messes with you. So anyway, my starting weight, I would typically start with 225 just to get everything moving, and then I would quickly get up to 405 just as my lightweight sets. But that, I wasn't even feeling that. Like, I wasn't even feeling it. I was having to put another 45 on each side just to my starting weight, and just a few days after I had started taking this stuff. And I bought a couple bottles of it, and there's no way this stuff was legal. There's no way this stuff was legal. And I had to stop. The back pains and the back spasms got so bad, and no matter how much water I drank, it was coming out like brown. I knew it was bad news bears. So my suggestion is, if you're going to look into this stuff, I suggest not doing it. I never did the injectables because I knew I really didn't care, and I was not 100% lifting with the guys who were doing it. You know, I couldn't 100% reach their weights, but like I was within 200 pounds, and I wasn't competing. I had no interest in competing. If you need to compete, great. I just don't care that much if how much stronger somebody is than I am, or I'm stronger than them. I just don't care. Just don't care at all. Matters not at all. So I had no interest in competing. I was just doing it because I could. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Will Hunting, where she's like, how do you know how to do all this math stuff? And I think he compares it to somebody who can play a piano and they just can do it. It just was a thing I just could do. I could not run. I could not do track and field. I could not really play football to any level because my foot couldn't handle it. I could hit. You do not want me hitting you. I mean, I actually, just during practice, I sent somebody to the hospital cracking their sternum. I mean, I wanted to hit you as hard as I could. And I wasn't even on steroids. I can only imagine my attitude if I was on steroids. I would have destroyed them people, but my foot couldn't handle it. I was over in the corner puking because of how much pain I was in, because of how bad my left foot, it couldn't happen. I could not do it. My foot just could not handle it because of how sunken in the arches and how terribly built my foot is. I couldn't do it. So I got to leave here in like 45 minutes. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I suggest, if you're going to go on these performance enhancing drugs, don't do it. Everybody I know that's done it from over all the years, they have the exact same problems that I do, and I wasn't even on this stuff. They're always in pain. I don't have this, but they do. Their blood pressure is high. Their gut is distended. Their face is not shaped like it used to be. Their joints ache and all that kind of stuff. The only way they can get out of pain is by going to work out, and it only lasts a few hours. And they're pretty much still on this stuff because when they go off, then they have like traumatic, and I don't think Durianrider is going to go through that, but a lot of people, you know, have that. Like when you're off, it's a huge difference. Like, I don't know if these are still 24 inches, but they used to be. And I still have most of it, and I haven't touched a weight in like 4 years. But when you're on steroids and stuff, you don't keep it that much. You know, you keep some. I mean, if you look at like Arnold Schwarzenegger and some of these guys. But look at Menzer. That guy died when he was like 53. Now, I know he's a terrible example because like everybody in his family seems to die at 50 to 55. Good dude, looked great. I think he was the best looking lifter I've ever seen in my life, but dies at 53. And most of his life leading up until the point where he was 53, he was in pain. He talked about it all the time. He was smoking like crazy, trying to psych himself out. And you know, when he died, his entire fridge was full of anabolics. It's just not the way to live. I do not suggest it. I really wish he wasn't doing that. It's sending like, I know he doesn't. He's probably, if he sees this video, he's probably gonna say whatever. But, and I have no disrespect for him, but I really wish he wasn't putting it out there. That stuff is bad news, man. I would never, ever advise anybody to do it for any reason whatsoever, unless you somehow have your testosterone's like a 200 nanograms per deciliter or something like that, or like 100, or if you're just really fat. Like if you're really fat, I don't even know if it's going to take. You know, sometimes when you're so fat, your body's just like, whatever, man, I'm not, you know, I can't do anything with this. So my advice to you is, if you're overweight, do not take this stuff. Get the weight off. Start working out now, because the weight will fall off. Do like a 5x5 or a 3x5 training. I don't suggest this working out individual body parts. That's a good way to get injured. Don't use machines. Use free weights. And if you get injured, don't come after me because you got injured because you didn't know how to do it right. The first thing is if you want to have a body like that, get the fat off the body. Start working out prior to that. Get your diet in order. And just lift. Just go do it. You know, I don't think I'll ever lift again. I have no interest in it. I did it for like 25 years, 20, 23, 4, 5 years, something like that. I don't think I'm ever going to go back. I know what it feels like to have 800 some pounds on your back, axial loaded, and every vertebrae is like, what are you doing to me? It feels great in the moment, but I don't suggest it. But if you want to just lift for general health and stuff like that, I wouldn't do the body part thing. That's just a recipe for injuries and stuff like that, especially on the machines. But I would suggest like a 3x5 or a 5x5. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not going to take any more time because I really got to get out of here. And just see what you can do naturally. Now, if you need to compete or if you need to do this other stuff, you're not going to compete at any kind of level without doing it. I don't care what sex you are. You're not going to win a competition unless it's like some, even local. You're not going to win. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're not going to win unless you're on something. It's not going to happen. But how many people really need to do that? So if you just want to look good and you want to lift weights, I don't suggest these performance-enhancing drugs. I don't think that Durianrider would suggest them. I don't know why he's doing it. I think he looks ridiculous. He looked so much better a few years ago. I was watching a video from him. He was on some beach somewhere flying one of those things that flies a drone. And I'm like, dude, he looks so much better. And then the video after that, he's like, you know, he looks crazy. He looks like these crazy people that I've seen in these gyms all over the years. Because I never cared about going to a prissy gym. I always wanted to go to a hardcore gym. You see, I don't care about clean shaving. I don't care about any of this stuff. You'll probably see the same damn shirt. I don't know how many times because I don't care about that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to look pretty to go to the gym. I just want to go to lift. So I would always go to the hardcore gyms, chalk all over the place. Half the time they didn't even have heating and cooling. It's just a gym. And every time you go into just the gym, you're going to see needles in the garbage can, and you know what you got. All right. So this is the world that I grew up in. I was 12 when I started working out. You know, I grew up in this kind of stuff. My buddies that got me into weightlifting, his dad, I don't think he was on this stuff, but man, he was too beautiful. I mean, it was ridiculous. This guy, he looked like Menzer. If you know who Menzer is, he looked like Menzer. He was out there competing, you know, like, I mean, just V-shape, you know, like every abdominal that you can have, he had it, like his pec, you know, I mean, his leg, I mean, it just was, it was a thing of beauty, right? I don't think he was on the stuff but even if he was, it was easy to get back then because it was legal, right? So, and if you're going to do it, do not get the stuff off the street, all right? I'm just laughing because, I mean, this video is already 23 minutes long, but if I told you all the stories that I've seen over the years of people on this stuff, just, I wish I had video that I could show everybody of the people that would have been on this stuff over the years. I mean, they wouldn't even come near it. The flipping out, the anger, the dying at 23, the like. One time I was at the gym and some dude thought his girlfriend was cheating on him, and I think she was. He comes in there with a shotgun and blows her face off, and then just goes in the car and kills himself. It's just like, and they were both on stuff. You know, it's just, it's crazy. Stay away from it. I don't know why Durianrider's doing it. He looks so good prior to it. I hope he sees this video. I hope he doesn't blast me for it, but like, it's comical and it's sad at the same time. I mean, just, it's blown somebody, I mean, there was just parts everywhere. I mean, it was nuts. So, and then I think that gym actually closed down right afterward. I mean, because it was a known Reuter gym, and it was in kind of, now it's the hood. And, you know, I mean, I know it's closed down now. I think they actually turned it into a theater or something like that. But, I mean, this stuff I've seen over the years with this steroids. If you're going to do it, I mean, you got to be under doctor supervision. And it's really not that hard to find a doctor who'll be like, all right, you know, like, it's really not that hard. It's very hard to get this stuff, though, once they give you the prescription. It takes days. I mean, they put you under like some surveillance system. They do a background check. I mean, I don't know if it's still that way. It probably is. I mean, it took me, because they thought I needed it because I was really fat. I was like, when I was 405, I'm like, dude, like my testosterone's like 100 nanograms over deciliter. But no matter how much they put me on, my body's like, whatever, dude. And they would just piss it out. It wasn't taken, so I stopped doing it. I think I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you had a laugh off this. I hope you're not doing this. Just don't do it. Just don't. Go lift. If you're a skinny dude, get some muscle. If you're a fat dude, get some muscle and get the fat off, and you'll be fine. I mean, not everybody is going to have 24-inch arms and 36-inch legs like I did when I was lifting, and I wasn't on anything. And even when I tried to take stuff, it wouldn't take. My body's like, no, I'm not doing this. I couldn't raise the levels even when I was on the stuff. So I was on it for a brief period. I think like a year. They tried all different kinds. They tried the injection. They tried the patches. They tried the creams, the gels, and all that kind of stuff. It just would not go up. And it was just because I was 405 pounds. Now, it's up to like 600 or 700 now because I'm down in 200 some odd pounds. But when I was 405, man, it was just too diluted. You got too much fat, you got too much body volume. It dilutes the hormone levels. So anyway, if you're fat, start hitting the weights, 5x5, 3x5. I like 3x5 better. 5x5 gets annoying and you're in the gym for way too long. Starting strength is another, like probably I think they're 3x5. I think it's 3x5. They've even got an app. I got my phone right here. They've even got an app. They're a good one. I keep saying I gotta go and I keep talking, but I'm gonna end it here. If you got weight to lose and you want to lift weights, start lifting now. The weight will start coming off. Just don't go on this stuff. It's just not worth it unless you feel the need to compete sometime or you feel the need to be in some competition and you just have to win. I just don't suggest it. Anyway, subscribe. Like, dislike, comment. Let me know what you've been on, what you haven't been on, if you ever wanted to try it. I do have a lot of knowledge of this stuff. I may not have the knowledge that Durianrider has as far as losing weight, but as far as being in the gym and as far as knowing people who've been on this stuff or being on the pro hormones, I don't even know if that stuff still exists myself. I've got like, we're talking like 2.5 decades here of like knowledge. So if you got questions, if you're on this stuff, let me know. I just don't think, I would never do it. I've seen the people who did it. I mean, I don't know anybody who's been on that stuff from back in the day who's in good shape now. They're all like disheveled, mechanically broken. It's just bad news. Talk to you next time.